Coming up on the CHGO Cubs podcast, we are kicking the tires on checking in to see if we are interested in or possibly having engaged talks of having the best show ever today. Because Luke Stuckmeyer is back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, and it's happening right now. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs podcast on a Monday, presented by Toyota. Let's go places. What's up, everybody? Hope you had a wonderful weekend. Chicago Bears going to the wild card round. We're here to talk about some Cubs. Joey Christopoulos, Justin Roman in the studio. Sean Anderson running the ones and twos today. And we have a very special return. It's the return of the Stuckmeyer. That's right, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Here he is, everybody. 2026, better than ever. It's the new model, Luke Stuckmeyer. Luke, man, how are you? Thank you so much. Good to see you. Just let us know how you're doing. Someone's muted.
You muted yourself. You're not talking. We cannot hear you.
Is Luke possibly could be muted as we're doing some Toyota Super Chats
Great.
here. Craig Brindle.
All right. Well,
welcome back, Luke. We got Gary in the chat
Listen,
here right now.
We promised Luke visually back. We didn't promise you.
Hey, there he is.
There it is. I don't know what was up with that. Okay, we're back.
We're back. Okay, so
okay, now I'm going to take a cough break.
Tell us how you are. Let's, Happy New Year. Tell us how you're feeling going into this year and where you're at right now.
Well, I was trying to say, first of all, thank you to Gary for saying welcome back. Thank you for the Get Well Soon package, the chocolate-covered fruits. Two of my favorite things right now, vitamin C and chocolate. So I will start on that after the show. How am I doing? 2025 ended like a wounded animal staggering to the highway. And 2026 has started like I'm roadkill on the back of the highway cleanup truck. That's so far how it's going.
Okay.
I feel like roadkill.
Yeah, we've peeled you off the side of the road to hear your thoughts.
Slightly bloated.
To hear your thoughts on Hunter Harvey.
You're right. I've been out 15 days. What's happened really? The Cubs signed Hunter Harvey.
You missed nothing,
what
buddy.
Are we doing?
I said all along, I felt like maybe you were faking a little bit because you were just kind of waiting for the big signing, and then you were going to come back for like the big Bregman stuff, whatever it is, But you really were sick. We're happy to have you back. And Luke really wanted to be here in studio, and me and Joey were like, no, you're good. How about remote? How about you kind of hang out at the house for a little longer, and we'll see you soon.
That's right. And I was told by the people up top, I was like, hey, playoffs start this week. Why don't we just keep you in a bubble for like 3 more days? I was like, that probably does make sense. Nobody wants to risk a Greg Braggs. His phone got hurt yesterday, apparently.
Yeah, broken phone. Braggs lost his mind. As we joked, though, before the show, we are sending you to the Green Bay Packers locker room this week for a rousing motivational speech of coughing, spitting, whatever you want, man. Whatever's going to get him up for the game.
Yeah, a big, healthy cough under the microphone, and then, hi, Jordan Love, my name's Luke. How you doing? Here's a little influenza A, K variant.
So were you able to watch the game last night?
I did watch it last night a little bit. Yeah. Man, that first half, I don't know. I just don't know if the defense is going to be good enough. That they could go all the way to the Super Bowl, or they could disappoint us and lose to the Packers, right? Isn't that the way? I mean, every game comes down to like the last play.
Yeah.
That would have been their seventh win in the final 2 minutes. That sort of terrifies me in the postseason. It means you're not out of it, but like,
I will say one thing to kind of tie it into the Cubs here is that we cannot lose to the Green Bay Packers on Saturday, because we can't have the Brewers and the Packers knocking out the Cubs and the Bears in like one kind of seasonal year. Like, that would be horrible for Chicago.
That'd be a tough rivalry for the I-94. the I-94 back and forth between Wisconsin and Illinois. Would not enjoy that for sure. My thing with the Bears, just really quick, is another number that I'm not really appreciating is over the last 3 or 4 weeks, it just feels like opponents are possessing the ball 3 times to 1 over the Bears. And if you're just limiting offensive opportunities on a team that is offensively led, I have no faith in this defense whatsoever. Even if it is bend but don't break, every time they have the ball, they have to do something. They have to drive, and they're putting in themselves in positions at midfield to go for it on 4th down. It's not the best place to be in, especially in the playoffs. You want to possess the ball and be in control, and the Bears have struggled to do that the last 3 games.
So in the next 3 years, do you guys feel better about the Cubs versus the Brewers or the Bears versus the Packers?
He's back.
It's a loaded question only because we don't know what the Cubs are going to look like come opening day as of right now.
Right.
I do love the Bears' future. I think with Caleb Williams and the offensive tools he has, and I believe they're going to attack the defense in the offseason. I don't know. Anyone's guess, right?
Well, we did this topic, Justin, when you were out, Luke, of what can we learn from the 2025 Bears as it relates to the Cubs about doing business. So my answer to that question is I feel more confident about Bears-Packers than I do about Cubs-Brewers because the Bears feel like they're in a position right now where not only do they spend top dollar for Ben Johnson, they spend top dollar for Dennis Allen. They have, in theory, who knows when the new stadium happens, but there is that carrot out there that incentivizes them to be as good as possible in the NFL, and this is the Bears' time to go for it. Here on this CHGO Cubs show, we also think now is the time for the Cubs to go for it, but it is yet to be seen whether the front office and the guys that are in charge signing the checks and the contracts also feel that way as well. So I have more confidence right now in the Bears saying we are going to spend a little extra or maybe spend that draft capital to get Max Crosby, do whatever it takes where, Luke, man, this isn't the rock bottom of the offseason, but I'm getting kind of towards that place where you've got baseball media guys making fun of the Cubs and Ricketts again. They haven't made a move. We're just sitting there and waiting, and it's just kind of getting to that low point in the offseason where we really need the Cubs to hopefully step up and make some kind of move.
Yeah, I would feel more confident in the Bears over the Packers the next 3 years than I would in the Cubs over the Brewers. And I think the thing we can learn from the Bears season is they fixed what was the obvious missing link to this team. 3 offensive linemen up front. It took them forever to get to that point. It took Ryan Poles what seemed like an eternity to fix it. But when the offseason came and he knew they were close, he basically fixed the offensive line with money and also, any resource he needed to get it done. So now the Cubs need to get it done. What is missing? We know they're missing a starter and we know they're missing a bat. Will the Cubs take that seriously or we try and just kind of patch the holes a little bit like the Bears did for a few years? That's what I would say the difference is, and that's where I can see that the Cubs should learn from what the Bears are doing. Also, I don't think there's any doubt, and it's different sports, but Ben Johnson has had a bigger impact on his team than Craig Counsell has early in his time for having the track record that he did. And on the opposite side, Johnson having never been a coach before, I would say Johnson has had a bigger impact on his team by far than Counsell has had on the Cubs. That doesn't mean Counsell's done a terrible job. It's just, and it might not be apples to apples, but Ben Johnson's made a much bigger difference.
Yeah, and honestly, both owners actually did pay top dollar for their guys, right? I mean, the Bears did pay top dollar for Ben Johnson. Don't forget, Tom Ricketts did spend top dollar for Craig Counsell, a record-setting contract for a manager, I believe, right? So they got the guys they wanted. I asked both you guys this. Everyone kind of making fun of the whole checked in on, talking to. The Cubs have been linked to Cody Bellinger, Alex Bregman, Bo Bichette, and I'm thinking missing one guy.
Bregman, Bo Bichette. Not Kyle Tucker, Cody Bellinger.
One
other guy. Anyways, my point
Suarez,
is
Eugenio Suarez, maybe.
Scott who?
Fromber.
Whoever. A bunch of big name free agents. My question is that all smoke and mirrors? Are they walking away with nobody, or they do have this money? earmarked for a big-time free agent, and we just don't know who it is yet, and we're all getting impatient, but there is a big move to be made. Is it smoke and mirrors, or is it going to happen? We just don't know who.
Good question.
I mean, for me personally, like
checking in on Bellinger, Joey. How about that? Like, first of all, just the checking in. What does that even mean? Checking in. You guys have checked in to see if I was alive a few times, but is that checking in?
Well, yeah, they still have his number. It's the holiday season. Probably just wished him Merry Christmas, man. I get it, and it's part of one of the main topics today because it's a newer piece of news, right? So we're going to cover it, we're going to discuss it, and then we can decide whether we think that there's interest, so we can decide whether to dismiss it. I'm fairly dismissive of this linking of the Cubs back to Cody Bellinger. Personally, if you're telling me right now that the Chicago Cubs had Cody Bellinger on a 3-year, $80 million deal, traded for Kyle Tucker, opted to then trade Cody Bellinger and exchange that whole thing out with Cam Smith, and now they're going to bring back Cody Bellinger, that just seems like a false thought process. That seems like you're changing the way that you think about how you wanted to build this team only 12 months later. It feels knee-jerk reactionary. It doesn't make any sense to me at all, Luke. I don't know. Do you think Cody Bellinger has any shot of coming back to the Cubs?
I don't, but I think he'll end up with the Yankees because he had a good season there, and I think they're starting to realize they have to do something. I agree with you that if the Cubs were to somehow end up in the 24th hour of the 24th day and the 24th minute, if they somehow end up with Cody Bellinger on a bargain deal again, does he make the Cubs at least better than they are today? Yes. The answer is yes. No question about it. If they end up with Cody Bellinger as their big bat this offseason, does it point to the Cubs obviously did something wrong in the last 3 years? Yes. Yes. Obviously, there were some misplayed cards, and it would have to be owning up to that. That I don't think it's happening. Of all the options of guys that come back, I bet you Bellinger's the lowest on the list.
Yeah.
Because you'd be admitting, like you just laid it out, all the moves you made, you'd be laying out that you made mistakes. And now you couldn't get the guy you wanted, so you're like, well, we can make an incremental improvement over what we have now, but is it better than what we had last year? Nah, I can't say that.
And real quick, you'd be making an admission about the money thing, right? Like we always go back and forth with, Cubs don't spend money, but they do spend $230 million. Those are the two sides of the fence, and then they have that conversation. If you're bringing Cody Bellinger back into the mix, you didn't have to trade him probably in the first place. You did it to move the money around, which we all signed up for because we were getting Kyle Tucker. Made a lot of sense. Michael Busch took a step forward. Seiya Suzuki had 30 home runs and 100 RBIs. That makes a lot of sense. But moving off of him and then bringing that back is a tacit admission that money had a lot to do with it.
And to piggyback that, a lot of people think that I make excuses for the front office in our chat here. And I explain I don't. I'm more of the kind of guy that's like, I'll judge this team on opening day roster versus, January 6th or 5th or whatever it is. But the Cody Bellinger thing, I'm not so mad they traded Cody Bellinger. I'm mad they didn't do anything with the money they got from the trade because it clearly was a salary dump. And I will smash the Cubs in the fact that I was okay with the trade. Fine, you got Tucker, awesome, and you want Michael Busch to be your first baseman, and all that. But you didn't do anything with that money to make our team better last year, and that I think put us behind the 8 ball early on. You saw our bullpen was horrible early on in the year. I know Jed fixed it along the way. So that is my one black eye on the Cubs last year was kind of you kind of lied to us by making that trade, but it really was a salary dump. You didn't really spend that money elsewhere. So that's where I'm mad about the Cody Bellinger thing last year. Now, guys, this year, between Bellinger, Bregman, Bichette, and let's just say Kyle Tucker, or nobody, in your estimation here, what is more likely for the Cubs out of those 5 options right there?
I think nobody out of those four, I'm hoping is the least likely. Because to rope back around to this Bears conversation that we're having, Luke, is when you talk about those interior offensive linemen, previous iteration before Ben Johnson, before BBJ, before Ben Johnson was what? Coleman Shelton, what was the guy? Patrick Lucas,
Yeah, the guy from Green Bay.
Nate Davis, right? Like they
That
were
worked out
moves. Yeah, they were valuation moves where polls thought he was outsmarting the room by getting someone on the cheap and plugging in there to a really, really important position. And we're sitting here on this show saying that the Cubs need to replace Kyle Tucker, really important part of the team, a 92-win team last year, and they need to add a starting pitcher. And I want them to go out and try and Drew Dahlman this thing. I want them to go out and Joe Tooney this thing, right? So one of those four guys I think has to be the one. Right. I'm still maintaining that I think Alex Bregman is the guy because he just makes the most sense with the dollars, the years, the interest. He's not going to cost as much as probably a Kyle Tucker or a Bo Bichette. He's a little bit older than Alex Bregman, but again, he's probably maybe a little bit more, maybe a higher floor, just a touch, even though Bichette's ceiling is probably a little bit higher. Right. And Bellinger, I just sort of think like been there, done that. So of all those guys, that's kind of where I'm landing on this.
I think Bregman number one for you.
I think Bregman is the most likely rational scenario for the Chicago Cubs impact bat-wise as it stands today. Jump in the chat. What do you think? Who should the Cubs sign, and who do you think the Cubs need to sign, or maybe more rationally, who do you think the Cubs end up signing? We're going to take a break here on the CHGO Cubs podcast. Luke Stuckmeyer is back, ladies and gentlemen, so don't go anywhere. We're going to hear some words from our wonderful partners. Today's episode is presented by Toyota, and let's take a break right now. Hey, Cubs fans, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. They also have the football early payout offer with a wild card weekend right around the corner. You can pick any team, but I recommend the Bears. And if they go up by 17 points, you are an instant winner and instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections that are marked as winners. So download the app, use code CHGO365 when you sign up. You can also double your winnings on parlays with the Bet365 100% parlay boost only when you use the code CHGO365 when you sign up. So here's the deal. Remember, deposit $10, place a bet for $5. You get $200 in bonus bets, whether that bet wins or loses, and that is good for spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Remember, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER in-app only.
If you haven't noticed it, winter is here. And if you're going to be stuck in your house for 2 weeks sick with the flu, you better make sure that your furnace is working. Is your home's heating up for the challenge? Now's the time to schedule your Four Seasons furnace tune-up at Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. We guarantee same-day installation for all your heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, and generator needs. No extra charge for nights, weekends, or holidays. Save up to $4,000 on furnaces and comfort systems with Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. Furnaces start at $39 a month. Furnace AC combos at $57 a month. And if you call today, you can save $50 from your trusted local experts. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric has been serving our area in Chicago for more than 50 years. We are sponsored here at CHGO by Four Seasons. Visit fourseasonsheatingcooling.com for all their special offers and money-saving coupons. That's fourseasonsheatingcooling.com. Don't get left out in the cold.
Coming back here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Great to see everybody in the chat here. Let's do a quick Toyota super chat with Craig Brindle. If you go up just a little bit, Sean, you'll see trade Shaw and sign Bregman. Good to see you, man. Good to see you staying solid. Good to see you staying consistent there.
And Craig, I will say, I'm not saying we're not going to sign Bregman. I see a situation where we sign Alex Bregman. I don't think Shaw is getting traded. I think if we sign Bregman, I personally think Nico Horner is the one that gets traded and not Matt Shaw. There's my hot take.
Yeah, Luke.
I don't want it. I'm not saying I'm advocating for it. Yeah. I'm just saying I think they keep Shaw and you trade Horner at that point if you're signing Bregman.
Yeah, Luke, like what is the we're getting words about maybe trade talks heating up with Edward. John Heyman had a big weekend.
He did,
Luke. And I said very sarcastically, he was doing the Lord's work, parentheses Boris's work for him this weekend, trying to heat up the market and accelerate it for a lot of guys that are clients of his. Throwing the Yankees name in there, which the Yankees and Cubs have seemed to be kind of pitted against each other in terms of just interest in players. Do you see? And the question also of which one is most likely, least likely, feel free to answer that too as well. But again, Bellinger, Bichette, Tucker, Bregman, which one do you think is off the board first? All their markets have seemed to slow down to a bit of a crawl. You're hearing nothing about Kyle Tucker right now.
Nothing, which is crazy.
No.
There's nothing going on about Kyle Tucker.
If Tucker's the last one on the board, he'll end up with the Dodgers. That's my prediction. If it unfolds that way and he's the last one on the board and everybody spent their money and they're looking at it saying, I don't know, I'm not sure which guy he is, the Dodgers will be the team that'll give him some insane amount of money for one season, and he'll roll the dice and come back again, and he'll chase a ring with the Dodgers. That's what will happen, I think, with Tucker if it goes that way. And by the way, I shouldn't say the Cubs have only done Hunter Harvey while I've been out, because let's not forget Tyler Austin.
Oh,
and
sure.
And think about how excited. Listen, Cubs convention is what, like 10 days away, something like that, or
11,
less than 2 weeks, 11 days away.
Mm-hmm.
If they come out and alphabetically introduce him as the first player, and they're like, this offseason, we had it, Tyler Austin, that's a disservice to him. It's nothing he's done wrong. It won't be fair, right? Unless fans know that something else is coming down the line. There will be an angry fan base if that's what happens if we get to that point in 11 days. So do I think the Cubs get something done before Cubs convention? I do. I think they would love to time it out to do it literally the day Cubs convention starts.
Yeah.
They're not going to wait. They're not going to do that on purpose. But if it gets close and they're like within a couple hours, they will hold that information as long as they can.
Follow up to that. Do you follow up to that really quick? Do you think that said player would be in Chicago?
They would do everything possible to make that player available. Yeah. Even if it's a trade. Now I don't think it's Tucker. I don't think it's Bellinger. I think the most likely addition bat-wise is still Bregman. But you have real competition eventually when it comes down to it from the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
They still really want him. And the Cubs do have a cheaper option if they want to go that way. So I still think the most likely option is they don't add a bat of significance. Not one of these four guys that we're talking. Not Bellinger, not Tucker, not Bregman, not Bichette. I think the most likely possibility is the Cubs add none of them. And they're just waiting to see if some bargain falls to them a la Bellinger 2.0 happened the first time, you know? Like, I don't know about Bellinger 3.0, but 2.0 was not as good as 1.0.
All right.
Well, and Justin, they got themselves in a really interesting scenario, too, where, like, let's just say they continue to push the trade market.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we keep bringing up his name, but, like, they have to be pretty careful that if they do want to land a front of the rotation starter, and whether it's Edward Cabrera or Mackenzie Gore or whatever the name is, if Matt Shaw is in that deal, that then changes the price of what Alex Bregman will be.
Right.
Because all of a sudden people will look around to the Cubs and say, well, you don't have a third baseman, do you?
Yeah. It's like almost like the chicken or the egg. What comes first, right? If you sign Bregman first, maybe your negotiation leverage lessens a little bit on the trade market. But if you trade someone like Nico or Shaw first, now leverage on the free agency with Alex Bregman. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like there's leverage on both sides that are going to play here. I said it before, I'll say it again. I know the optics are really, really, really bad. I don't care personally about Cubs convention being a deadline for this front office. I want the best player at the best price, at the best budget for this team by opening day. I know the optics are bad, but again, I don't want to jump the gun or drag things out just because of this like false Cubs convention deadline. Am I wrong for that?
No, I don't think you are. I think part of it, though, is I think that's a consideration with the Cubs just from a PR perspective, right? And Luke, I know you were saying it tongue in cheek, but like, there's some truth in that. Of like, Tyler Austin is also calling the Cubs, being like, all right, so I'm not the headliner of this thing, right? I'm just triple checking here. I know I want a lot of shine, and I'm happy to come back to the major leagues, but I'm not like the big signing, am I? And it just changes a little bit of the tenor. And I would like to believe that the Chicago Cubs would want Cubs fans at the convention to be excited. I know that the 2016 reunion is going to put a lot of gloss over the inactivity of what's happening right now. And for those of you that also aren't familiar, I believe Bruce Levine over the weekend did report. It makes a lot of sense that any current player or active player in Major League Baseball that is a former Cub will not be there out of respect, obviously, for the current clubs that they're with. So
Agreed.
Kyle Schwarber, knock him off the list. Javi Baez, knock him off the list. Chris Bryant, also, I know, surprising, still in Major League Baseball, knock him off the list too as well.
That kind of sucks though, because those are three very important pieces to the 26. I know you can't like push it back, but it does kind of suck to have a 2016 reunion, but you can't have Javi, KB, or Schwarber, right? It's like, it feels almost like empty to me.
Yeah, but it's realistic. It's just realistic. The difference between some of the other ones, like when the White Sox did it, these players were so much younger. The Cubs won it with like a bunch of rookies first year.
Yeah.
Like they're all still in the game. It's only 10 years.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't thriving like they were, but Chris Bryant can't, with that contract in Colorado and not playing, show up at Cubs convention while he's on another franchise. Like, I mean, Kyle Schwarber can't sign his deal and then show up and be like, hey, I'm here.
Right.
Look,
here's a funny question, though. I love Chris Bryant for what he did for my team, right? For what he did for the Cubs. But they hate him in Colorado. Could it get any worse if he did come on stage and we all just go crazy for him? Could it get any worse for him in Colorado?
It could. If he was showing up celebrating with another team before he went to spring training with the other team, he can't show up to spring training with the Rockies and be like, I just came from Cubs convention. Like that report was factual that Bruce put out, but I think it was, I don't know how it's surprising to anybody. Like, of course they can't show up for that. Now, no matter how much they want to.
Yeah, best time of my life. Kyle Schwarber just signs a $150 million deal with Phillies, and he's like, "Oh, that was the greatest time of my life."
He'll be alive for
forever.
20th reunion. Okay?
Yeah. Luke, couple minutes before we go to break here. On the other side of the break, we are going to talk some pitching. Stick around because we're also going to have our lovely segment coming back in 2026 for the first time. A Stuck With Me, Joey Cristobal, and a Just in Time. Want to just round out the hitting really quick. I feel like we've hit everybody except for one dude that I want to get your take on as things develop. When we say, are they going to sign any of these guys or are they going to sign none of these guys? Is it also time for Cubs fans to at least begin the rationalization of an Eugenio Suarez? Eugenio Suarez, a little bit older, high K rate, 49 home runs last year. I don't know if I wouldn't count on him for 49 home runs again this coming season. But again, buys you time with Matt Shaw. He can play a little third once or twice a month or whatever it is, whatever kind of blow you want to give him. Can do a little DH to kind of give an alleviation to Mo Baller if you want to kind of ease him in a little bit. Eugenio Suarez would be short term. Eugenio Suarez would probably cost about $18 million. Eugenio Suarez fits the Cubs mold a little bit. Luke, before we go to break, where would you land on that? Would that get you jazzed up? Would that really pump you up or what?
It wouldn't get me jazzed up, but at least it'd be improvement over what they have now. You know what I mean? Like, would it make them a better team than what they are right now? Yes. Would I prefer Bichette or Bregman? Yes, I would. But we all know the fans aren't the ones holding the purse strings here. We're not calling the shots with the money. So if that's the way the Cubs are going, I don't think he's unrealistic. I think you could end up with a Suarez and a trade for name the pitcher, right? And I know we're getting on that. I don't know. I think if you're gonna make a trade now for that frontline pitcher or even number 3 starter, Justin touching this, I think you have to wait out the third base picture. You've got to figure out if Bregman's going to be your third baseman, if Shaw's going to be your third baseman, or if Bichette's going to be your second baseman. I think you need to figure out which of those scenarios is actually going to happen before you make that trade.
I agree, because also if you're signing Suarez, you're not trading Shaw. If you sign Bregman long-term, you might be more apt to trade someone like Matt Shaw. But I agree. You got to fill that third base hole first before you enter the conversations of trading for a pitcher.
Yeah, he's the literal version of a stopgap. And in your scenario, Luke, with the sign Eugenio Suarez and trade for a pitcher, that probably puts the Cubs back in the position they were in last year, Justin, where they were like 15, 16, 17 million under the luxury tax instead of pushing right up on it. Speaking of pushing up on it, we got to go to a break here. We're going to hear from some of our wonderful sponsors. On the other side, we're talking pitching. We're talking more Cubs baseball with Luke Stuckmeyer, Justin Roman in the house. Do not go anywhere. It's the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. We're going to take a break and be right back. Hey, Cubs fans, I want to talk to you about Game Day Men's Health. Now, I don't know if you know this, but a couple days ago, I just turned 42 years old, which means it's that time for me to start taking care of my body, not just this outward handsome complexion that you see here, but the innards as well. And around the wintertime, I've been getting a little soft. And whether it's peak performance or becoming a better father, better husband, better man, better podcaster, Game Day Men's Health wants to support every man's health journey through personalized care that is tailored to your goals. It's a very quick and easy process. They came into the office here. It only takes an hour. They were so nice. They were so personable. It was wonderful. And they offer personal care, family, local-owned clinics, extremely high success rate, so you can feel better and have more energy, whether it's testosterone, vitamin supplements, weight loss, and hair loss treatments. So start your best life with Game Day Men's Health today. Scan the QR code or on the screen below, or go to GameDayCHGO.com to find locations that are closest to you to connect with Game Day Men's Health.
All right, let's talk about your next weekend escape, or maybe just your next big night out, because Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee has everything you need, and it's all in one spot. We're talking thousands of the latest slots and table games. Are you ready to refuel? They've got a ton of amazing restaurants and bars to choose from. Whether you're feeling fancy or just want a quick bite, they've got you covered. You don't even have to leave the property. Stay there in style at their luxury hotel, just steps away from what many call the Midwest's best sports book. Heading to a Bucks game maybe in Milwaukee, get some cheap tickets when they take on the Bulls. Start your day right at the Potawatomi. Hit the sports book, then head out to the game. It's all right there, super convenient. Milwaukee's got a full winter lineup of concerts and festivals and sports, you name it. I saw Rascal Flatts is going to be there. Potawatomi is the perfect home base for all of it. Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee. Your win is waiting. All you have to do is go check it out like I did.
Coming back here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota, Let's Go Places. Joey Christopoulos, Justin Roman, Sean on the ones and twos, and the triumphant return of Luke Stuckmeyer. Let's get a Toyota Super Chat in here from Evan Cordy, 8571. Would love to sign Bregman or Bichette and then trade Shaw in a package for pitching. Nico is so steady and consistent. I'm on board.
He's not wrong, but he's got 1 year left. You know, Nico Hoerner, I like what you're saying. I love Nico Hoerner, but he's got 1 year left. So you're talking about then extending him as well. We don't know what his price is. Or, again, Shaw is on that rookie deal for years and years and years. It's you got to think about all that stuff.
Yeah, no decisions to be made for sure.
Who's more valuable to another team, Nico Hoerner or Matt Shaw?
Matt Shaw right now.
I guess it depends on which team you're trading him to. Like, if you're trading him to a team that's thinking about 3 years from now, Matt Shaw's the more valuable player. If you're talking about the Yankees, then Nico Hoerner's more valuable.
And, you know,
it's Seattle,
funny, it's funny you said the Yankees because Jim Bowden on MLB Radio said that the Yankees are looking hard at Nico Hoerner. So take it for what it's worth. I know that guy's been wrong before, but, you know, we're all just kind of guessing and connecting the dots right now. But, you know, Nico's name has been in trade rumors for now 2 seasons in a row. And, you know, he's an impending free agent. I mean, it makes sense for someone like the Yankees. You're right. But we'll see. We got to sign that third baseman first. Otherwise, they're both staying. Yeah,
Luke, I said it on the show last week that it's just like the thing that would really bum me out is because of a free agent signing or because of a particular trade, it means we then have to move Nico Hoerner's money off the books, not the player. Yeah. His money would have to come off the books. And I said it'd be like telling the new family, we just bought a new car, but now we have to get rid of the dog. It's like, all right, we can have both things at the same time and still try and survive. I want to move over to the pitching side with you, Luke. We did a lot of Tetsuya Amai here on the show, and he decided to make his choice to take his talents to Houston. 3-year deal, $54 million guaranteed, up to $63 million. A lot of escalators and incentives there, $10 million posting fee, and also he's able to opt out after 1 year. I'm going to keep this broad and open for you. I just want to get your take. We haven't heard your thoughts on the Amai signing with Houston, and did the Cubs get it right or get it wrong by not coming correct and trying to outbid the Houston Astros for his services?
Well, the first thing I want to know is if it's true that the Cubs were second in line here, then how can the arguments be true that they weren't really sure, they were skeptical that it would play at the major league level? Like, which is really true? Were they interested or not? Like, it doesn't matter if it's 80 million or a 1 year or an opt out. Either you like this guy in your near the top of your rotation. It's not like we're saying, oh, they were going to give him a 5-year deal and roll the dice on the guy for a year. That's a totally different story. Like, either they were interested in this guy that was going to get this deal or they weren't. Just because they didn't get him doesn't mean they weren't interested. And so I'd also like to congratulate Sean and the White Sox, Chicago being the best check-in team this offseason. We've been great at it in Chicago. We've been checking in on everybody. We both checked in on Imai. Both fan bases thought they were getting Imai. We didn't get Imai. Okay, if we all want to believe it's a good thing now because it won't translate, wonderful. If it does, we're all going to sit here and go, what are we doing?
Yeah,
he goes to Houston and replaces Framber Valdez, we're going to be angry if he turns out to be the next real deal coming from Japan and a pitching staff.
for sure.
If he goes out there and he's just some guy, then we'll all say, thank goodness. I can't be mad about it yet. I'm just disappointed that it hasn't happened yet. But if they end up with Mackenzie Gore or whoever, Mackenzie Gore is really high on my list now. I don't think, Cabrera, all the talk with Cabrera and the Yankees, it scares me because of the arm stuff. Like he's super talented, and I love that he's right-handed, and I love that he's got the best stuff maybe of the group. But you don't have that many impingement times where you're taking out your shoulder or elbow impingement and you're saying, I can't pitch. That doesn't go away. And so that part of it scares me. So I don't know what to make of not getting Imai. I believe that the Cubs probably were in on it. And when they didn't get him, then the things were leaked like, we weren't that in on it. I don't know if we really believed in that.
I think they were in on him. I think all along it was the opt-out after 1 year. I think that the Cubs did not want to do that, and Houston was willing to do that because, there's a comment maybe a little higher up where it says, other MLB teams also passed on him with that contract. And the contract definitely seemed like it was beatable. I think it was that opt-out in the first year. You're paying the posting fee, and then he just bounces, right? I think the Cubs did want him, but at least for 2 years. But regardless, we didn't get him. Can't cry over spilled milk. My question to you now, Luke, is, okay, of Valdez, Suarez, Gallen, and then let's throw in Cabrera and Gore, most likely pitcher that will be in the Cubs rotation, or none of the above?
No, I think one of them ends up with the Cubs. I think the trade thing is becoming more and more likely than even the signing the bat thing, because the signing the bat thing, we know they're not into huge contracts, and nobody's carrying like this massive contract financially or years that you're looking at for the others. And they are going to have to finally trade some prospects eventually. But the question we need to answer is, what are these? We want to know, what are these teams asking for? Like, what realistically, what is more likely to happen based on what the other teams are asking for and what the Cubs are willing to do? Are the Cubs willing to move some prospects? Yes. Are they willing to maybe move an infielder? Well, they certainly haven't told teams no about Nico if all these teams are asking about Nico because of the 1 year thing. But he's also like the heart and soul of what they do, right? Like, there's a way to improve what he does at second base, and that is having more power there. But everything else is everything you want in the guy. He's everything you want in a Cubs baseball player. So while they're listening, I don't know that they're super anxious to trade Nico. And the interesting thing about not wanting Imai and thinking about the opt-out thing is, I can see that both ways. I hear what you're saying, Justin, like, they don't want to pay the posting fee money, right? And then see him leave after 1 year. At the same time, I could also see upper management and front office and ownership saying, well, yeah, but if we have a work stoppage and he leaves after 1 year, Isn't that what we're trying to do? Basically clear the deck? So I don't know. I don't know where it stands. If you're asking me which one I would want right now, I would say Mackenzie Gore. If I was going to roll the dice on one of those guys, I would say Mackenzie Gore. But I don't know if his asking price is more than Cabrera. I don't know if that. I believe Mackenzie Gore will bounce back. I think having Mackenzie Gore would be a good thing. Now, would I be willing to trade Matt Shaw for him? Yes. It just depends on what else you would have to trade for him.
Yeah, can you try and move him off of? Does it have to be Shaw and Wiggins? I guess that's probably what we're coming around to, right? Because
what do you believe in Wiggins? If you believe Wiggins is going to be at least as good as Mackenzie Gore was last year, why would you trade Wiggins right now?
No, exactly.
Right? They're certainly going to want pitching back, but I'd be more willing to give them pitching lower down, like high-end guys in lower levels, right? Like really highly thought of prospects. I'd rather give them 2 of those and let them double their chances than I would Wiggins if Wiggins really is Cade Horton next year.
But I think that's the rub, Luke, is that Chef Kevin Penner, I'm in agreement. They're almost out of prospects that have any value. We keep going over the same names all the time in the system.
It's Casey,
Bo Baller, Wiggins, Shaw, Jefferson Rojas. It's kind of it, right? Like Brandon Birdsell has a shoulder injury. Maybe he's something. Maybe he's a guy. You could throw maybe Ethan Conrad out there. You can talk about a Christian Hernandez if you want to. Jonathan Long, I think he's a 4A player, right? They don't have a lot of depth in their system. And I think that's the rub, Justin, of it's like, I think they're a little resistant to trade these prospects, and I think they're hugging them a little too hard is because after that, their 20th ranked farm system probably goes into the higher 20s. Maybe even to the bottom of the league. And that's the problem that the Cubs have. It's like, I get it. The owner doesn't want to spend any money. The people that he has employed, and this is a criticism of Jed, the general manager that he just extended, is overseeing a farm system right now that is lacking in depth. They're doing a good job at the top of the draft. Their first-round guys are graduating. The guys, when they traded the Cubby core, a couple of them have cracked through. Not Caleb Killian, right? But Pete Crow Armstrong, yes. So they're able to go out and they canvas guys that they want from other systems and bring them in. But outside of that first round, out of those high picks like a Horton and a Matt Shaw, none of these other guys are really developing the way that I think that they would like to per the amount of money that they want to spend, which is why I just keep sitting here. And it's not just a Cubs fan thing of me sitting on a couch eating potato chips being like, spend money. It's because I think it's the only course for them to get better at this time right now. If they want to pillage those top 4 or 5 guys that we all know the names of, go for it, right? Go for it. But then that's it. Then you're kind of done, right? Yeah. And they're in a cycle right now when they should be competing. And it's so funny. My final point on this is we're in the same situation, Justin, where we did shows around the trade deadline, and we would ask ourselves a very fair sports narrative question of what do the guys in the locker room think when a front office does nothing for you at the deadline, when you're going for a division and possibly going for a pennant and they don't add in any reinforcements. What does that say to a locker room? Does it say that the front office believes in you? Does it say that the front office thinks that you're close? We're going to go one step ahead. The inactivity of this offseason continues that storyline of does this front office think that they are really that close to breaking through as we think? Because if they do believe that, then they should be adding reinforcements to this group that is already really solid. This ultra defensive team with a bunch of guys that are rock solid, but none of them are superstar players. They should be adding to that right now, just like they did at the deadline, and they're struggling to do that again.
Yeah, I mean, all I can tell you, Joey, is that there's still time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's still a lot of time, actually. I mean, we've spent our time talking about, like, 4 major bats and 3 pitchers from the free agent market and 2 more on the trading market that make your team better. Like there's still people out there to make this team even better than they were last year. So all I can say, I feel your passion. I understand. All along I said they were going to make one free agent signing and make one trade. And I still really believe it's going to happen. I mean, there's still possibilities of both those things happening. It's just kind of a game of musical chairs right now. Like, who do we get on the hitting side? Who do we get on? But I think both areas are going to be addressed.
Yeah, I hope so, Luke. I really do. And in the meantime, and maybe we can blame the structure of an MLB offseason. I think it's fair too as well, because a lot of this stuff keeps getting dragged out every single year. But at the same time, Luke, like, Cubs fans have to sit there while guys like Ken Rosenthal all weekend and other baseball media guys that I personally have respect enough because they've been in the business long enough take shots at our organization, right? It's not just Cubs fans now making pointed little jabs at the lack of spending, or at least the lack perceived notion of we are the Chicago Cubs and we have a marquee network and we have this Jumbotron that was supposed to pay for everything. And we've got these patches on our jerseys now that was supposed to pay for everything. We own a neighborhood that was supposed to pay for everything. And now we're not paying on anything.
And we have a manager that makes more than anyone, right? Like you have all of those things going on. I think there are skeptics in the media, and I think for good reason. I think you sort of earn your reputation, right? Like that's just the truth of it. There might be somebody that has an axe to grind for whatever reason, whether that's the front office or management, whatever it might be. I think those people do exist. But when it's this many saying, why aren't the Cubs spending? I think it's a fair conversation. Like you've earned some of it. There's no question about that. And as far as the trade thing goes, like what happened to the point where Jed was like, we got to the trade deadline and we realized, oh, we should have done this in the offseason because the price was just too much. That led me to believe that their strategy was get these deals done. And so we're still sitting here waiting. And I agree, Justin, like the Cubs could quiet a lot of people by getting a lot of things done. Could they quiet the most people by signing Tucker to some big deal? Yes, and I don't think it's happening for a multitude of reasons. But the Cubs could still have a successful offseason, and it really is – part of it is, at least, Major League Baseball has screwed up this system. Like, I don't want it coming down this close to spring training. I don't want guys making their decision to try and decide if they're going to be in Florida or in Arizona days before they go there, or even after the teams have gone. Like, give us something. I don't want to wait this long to know who my team is. I want to be excited about my team so that when the holidays just rolled around, I can go buy the new jersey if I want to go buy the new jersey. They're missing out on all those opportunities.
Yeah, Luke,
like
that's what I was telling you. We had a little side conversation before the new year. That's exactly my point. I hate MLB free agency. I really, really do. I think football's got it better. I think basketball has it better. There's a window there. And I think that you're just dragging this thing out. And again, you're creating false deadlines, invisible deadlines for the Cubs convention because we don't want our fans to be mad. It's like, well, they realistically could wait and sign Bregman, a week before spring training, and you still got Bregman. But I hate the fact that you can do that. I think that there should be a window. I also hate the fact that we talked about Bregman last offseason, and he signs a quote-unquote 4-year deal. Nope, just kidding. I'm going to opt out and do it all over again this year. I think that MLB, I love baseball, and I love Major League Baseball, but I think the free agency process is flawed, and I do hope they can fix that without going on strike. That's my hope, obviously, but I think they have to fix it because I agree with you. I think free agency in baseball is a flawed system.
Both sides have compelling cases.
Joey, just remember though, they did do the Tucker deal last year before Cubs convention. That was done. He was at Cubs convention, but this is not the, some people are saying like, excuse me, this is the first year. It's not. This is like year 6 or 7 where we see this. Winter meetings mean almost nothing to most of the teams. It's just like they go there and hang out somewhere warm, have a couple of drinks and meals together, and then we wait for 2 more months. Right?
Yeah. That was kind of my I was grousing about it last week of just, I wish, and you mentioned it a little bit before in this episode of just, if I had my way as a Cubs fan, I just wish that there was a little bit more intention and a little bit more conviction with some of this stuff of like, when you said like, well, we're interested in a lot of guys, like, why don't you just go out and get the guy that you personally think is going to fit best either in your clubhouse or in your lineup or in your pitch lab, or the guy that you think is going to extract the most wins for you, just go out and get him. You're the Chicago Cubs. Just go out and make it happen. And it's a complicated argument in terms of the signing thing personally, because I think both sides have interesting arguments about it. Unfortunately, if you do want guys to sign earlier, that means salary cap. The reason why there's an NFL and NBA flurry of free agency when the bell rings is because these guys are more or less sort of capped in probably what they can get. Now, the NFL is different in terms of guarantees. That's how you get competitive in a deal. You offer more guarantees than another team. But in the NBA, all this stuff is slotted in, right? And frankly, like, these owners drag their feet, and we can throw out the C word, like collusion, of the longer we wait, I think the better deal we get, where a guy ends up just signing an AAV high-end deal. And then, yeah, he opts out, right? Because I think he's kind of pissed about the process. And the other part about it, too, is that I think the Cubs are gaining a reputation of, yeah, we're interested, but come back when you're desperate. And unfortunately, that's kind of the position that Cody Bellinger found himself in. Now, when I say desperate, he made $27 million.
I wish I was that desperate.
You know what I mean? We're talking sports here a little bit, but if you're Alex Bregman and you went down a certain road with the Cubs last year, and you start wrapping your head around, man, maybe this is where I'm going to live. Maybe this is where my family's going to be. The Cubs really want me. And it drags out, doesn't work out. You take a different deal, you opt out, and now you're talking to the Cubs again. At some point, there's a human element of, like, guys, like, what are we doing? I know this is business, but do you want me or do you not want me? And the Cubs seem very, very content dragging it out as long as possible and grinding a player down to get it at the price that they want. And I applaud them from an on-paper perspective, but from a human baseball perspective, I can imagine that maybe being a little grating at times.
I have a question for you guys, and it just kind of popped into my head. I never really thought about it before. If there were a salary cap and a salary floor coming, and that was going to happen in 2 years, would Jed Hoyer be a better president / let's still call him general manager if you want, okay? Would he be better at this with a salary cap, salary floor, or would he be better at this in the current format Major League Baseball has? Like, which actually would benefit Jed Hoyer in the job that he's doing? Would he be better at it in the new rules, or is he going to be a better job at that in the current rules?
He would be better at it with a salary cap, because then teams wouldn't be able to spend a certain amount. Then they would be capped if they did spend on an Ohtani. So then that way, this kind of flesh wound that is not signing a star and consistently letting Bellinger, Tuckers go out the door, I think it would be able to, you'd be able to satiate that, need for a star a little bit easier.
You could maybe also make that argument that maybe he could sell more on the intangibles of the IV. I know, for real though, you could sell more if all money is equal. Right. We do it better here than everyone else with all the little stuff. We take care of your family. We provide. So a lot of these players care about, like, the doctor that picks up the phone at 1 a.m. and the team helps them out if their little kid is sick and stuff like that. In the NFL, that really comes down to it sometimes when it's really just a dollar for dollar match. What is the fit geography wise, vibe wise, locker room culture, all that stuff starts to play a little bit more of a role than money.
Yeah, and I think
go ahead, Justin.
I think that Jed is actually, I may get crucified for this, but I think Jed is actually pretty good at his job when it comes to, like, finding, identifying deals. I think he's pretty good at trades. I think having a salary cap and a salary floor, now you have parameters which to operate in. I think he would thrive in that situation. But Luke, I think that for me, salary cap, yeah, but salary floor is the key word here. I think you put in a salary floor in baseball free agency, and it's so much better all across the board. I think if you're forcing the Pirates and the Rays and those guys to spend money, there's more money to go around. I think it's a healthier baseball offseason. I think, listen, they got to change a lot of things, but salary floor for me is one of the highest priorities I think that baseball needs to implement, because that will fix a lot of these problems.
I hear what Sean's saying, and I hear what you're saying. I can't decide which Jed would be better at, the salary cap world or the current world in Major League Baseball, because
I think current world.
He's already sort of operating in some sort of salary cap world, At least we believe so. But you know who's really shown when it comes down to, all right, everybody's going to be spending about the same amount of money. The Brewers have shown that they're elite at that. Elite at it. Like better than the Cubs. The Brewers spend way less and are still better than the Cubs. So while I agree, I could see a world where Jed is better in a new format than he is in the current format. I can also see why a team like the Brewers would be like, yeah, but we've already been doing this. And as long as we spend above the floor, who's going to be better to do it than us? That's the one thing that scares me. There are teams, yes, it levels the playing field for you with teams like the Blue Jays, the Mets, and the Dodgers. But it also increases the chances of those lower teams, if are already over that floor, the ones that really know how to work the system, I would think they have an advantage too, no?
So my pitch for current system over salary cap is, first of all, salary cap, I don't want it because, frankly, the owner will every year just go, darn it, we ran out of money. We wish we could. We totally would. I promise you we would, but we can't because of the rules. Oh, the rules, they're written down. They're right here. They're on the wall. The thing about the thing with Jed is, one, the thing that worries me about salary cap, and this is where we have a slight disagreement, is I think that means more years for players where you're going to have to spread money out. Personally, I think if you're the Chicago Cubs, I think you should be in the business of high AAV. And if you want to have short-term deals, or if you want to get creative with a Shota-type contract, the Chicago Cubs can do that. I think that Jed Hoyer thinks about things in 3 to 4 year cycles, which is why I'm so mad about this one off season, because I think this is year 3 of a 4-year cycle of having a core of players together to try and go for it and do something. It was 83, 83, 92. Let's see what happens in this 4th year, right? And I think he's gotten good at finding the valuation of flipping guys and rehabbing guys. If you have a salary cap, in my opinion, AAV goes down, years go up. So I think the 10-year contract comes back. I think the 6-7 year deal for a pitcher comes back because you can only give him so much money that can slot into a team every single year. And one way or the other, I think the salary cap does eventually screw the players, but in some way they still are going to have to get paid. It's a great argument. I don't even know if I fully believe. I don't have the full conviction of what I'm saying right now because I think it's really complicated, right? But I would think that if Jed, and look, I texted you guys a real sicko text this weekend about how the Cubs could go over the luxury tax this year and fly right under it next year and sign guys that we're talking about right now that Cubs fans wouldn't even believe. But I do think that flexibility, that they've gotten good at some of this lower mid-tier stuff. And with the high floor, I'm with you. I wish the Pirates would spend more, but you are then giving money to lesser players, and there's a weird bubble that it starts to create, sort of like in the middle, where you're starting to say, well, this guy has a 5 whatever ERA, but he's making this amount of. It gets a little complicated in that, but it's a good question to think about for sure.
Yeah, are we going to save our New Year's Eve stuck with me? Do we want to save that for tomorrow? How long can you still do New Year's stuff? You know, the Larry David thing? How long can you still wish somebody Happy New Year's? I didn't know if I was supposed to do that.
Well,
what are we, January 5th?
I like what you just brought to the table, so I think we should save it to tomorrow. I left the house today, and my wife Mara was taking down the Christmas tree.
No.
Oh, no.
No,
too early.
Dude.
Today was the day.
Well, is yours real? Are you a real tree?
No, fake. It's a fake. She's allergic to pine.
Oh, man. I don't know. That seems early. I can't do it.
Took it down yesterday.
What?
Wow.
Yeah. Why do you guys hate Christmas? Like, what is this?
I didn't do shoot. I woke up.
Sean?
I'll tell you what, like, honestly, in the Roman household, we're talking about probably it'll be down first week of February. Ricky, all January. Listen, my wife goes crazy for Christmas, and that means bins on bins on bins on bins. I said, listen, I'm down, but we're keeping this up. This Christmas spirit is going to be up through January because it's a lot of work. I'm not doing it for a couple weeks. So if you guys want some Christmas cheer, come to the Roman household. It'll still be up in January, but February is done. We're out.
Happy St. Patrick's Day and Christmas, still from the Roman household.
It's the Clark Griswold meltdown after the squirrel goes out the door and Snot the dog jumps out and he has the total meltdown about the boss. That's how I feel. We're going to have the happiest.
Yes.
Oh, real quick, before we go,
Yes.
we got to go in like 1 or 2 minutes. But before we go, Luke, you got to weigh in on the Christmas draft. Highly controversial around here. Do you
Yes,
remember?
I missed the whole episode.
Yeah, do you remember the Christmas draft at all? Because Twitter is a weird. Twitter is a weird, twisted place, and I won the poll on Twitter. But Justin also had Jesus and Santa on his draft.
Oh boy, that's
board.
a tough combo.
In the first 2 rounds, my first 2 picks was Jesus and Santa, and then Twitter decides that my team wasn't strong enough. What?
Well, now
Thank
wait
you,
a minute.
Sean.
Did you guys end up labeling it the Christmas draft, or did you label it like the holiday draft?
No, well, we labeled it the Christmas draft. It's up on the screen right now, if you can see.
Well, if you're doing the Christmas draft, Jesus is pretty high on that list, you know.
I mean, he's pretty much a lock at number 1.
And then to put Santa Claus number 2. Let me look at this. Now this is Joey's got Christmas Tree, Home Alone, The Grinch, Cookies, Wham! Last Christmas.
Yes, I took a Christmas song off the board.
To be fair, though, I think Justin drafted Santa Claus the movie because somebody, whoever produced this,
Sarah spelled
put
it wrong.
Santa Claus with an E.
She
So this
spelled
is
it
the
wrong.
clause that makes you Santa
right.
if Santa dies.
If you go back and listen to the
see
pod,
that.
I
The
definitely
Santa
specified
Claus.
it was Santa Claus, like the guy, the man.
Yeah, okay. It's not your fault it's spelled wrong. I think Jared loses. I don't know if you can put cigars and smile on kids' faces next to each other.
Why, they
Is
go
Santa not
perfectly
putting-
together.
Wait, Santa's not putting Cubans in your stockings?
Yeah, you're not blowing stogie smoke at the kids while they're opening up presents.
And Gary in the chat says, not everyone celebrates Christmas, Justin. So Joey, I understand, but it was the Christmas draft. I mean, like, I understand you may celebrate Hanukkah, but this was the Christmas draft. Jesus and Santa, that's a dynamic duo.
Yeah,
Also,
Hanukkah here is still on the board.
Joey apparently wins because he took the Christmas tree, a song called Last Christmas,
You mean the
and
tree
then
that
2 movies
everybody's taking
about
down
Christmas.
already?
Shots fired. Yeah, well, I mean, I took the New York the Times Square Christmas tree. I took a tiny tree. I took a big tree. I took a small. I took all the Christmas trees. The way you took all the leftovers, I took every Christmas tree on the planet. Pretty powerful.
More powerful than Jesus?
No, but
I don't think of cinnamon. Justin's third pick was cinnamon rolls. I don't think of cinnamon rolls necessarily as a holiday thing, but they're one of the greatest things on the planet. So now he's got Jesus, Santa, and cinnamon rolls. He's hit my sweet tooth too. I mean,
Kleenex.
based on my holiday, the Vicks Vapor Rub was a big pick. That's all I'm going to tell you. That was very. I would lean towards Justin won this. That was a very savvy, and I understand what Gary's saying. That's why in years past, sometimes we've done the holiday draft. And so if you want to put Hanukkah in there with Christmas, or if you want to put New Year's Eve in there.
Right. But this was the Christmas draft.
That's fun.
I was working within the parameters.
Christmas draft.
I was working within the parameters of the Christmas draft, kind of like how your hypothetical with Jed working in the parameters of, salary cap and salary floor. I was in my zone right there.
I would put first-year head coach Justin Roman as the champion, I think. I'm sorry.
Right, now that's the cough. That's the meds talking. That's what I think's happening. That's the meds talking.
I would pick myself as the winner, really, because after the holiday I went through, I deserve some sort of win.
Well, we got to get out of here on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Joey Christopoulos, Justin Roman. Shout out producer Sean Anderson today. Luke Stuckmeyer back in the house, back in the fold. You will see him tomorrow with me and Justin again. Have a great day, everybody. Like, subscribe, do all the good stuff. Enjoy the day. We're out of here. And as Luke says, always fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.